second. Let's start recording now. Hi, everyone. I'm Patricia Langen, the Regional Director for the Middle East with WEConnect International, and we're thrilled to have you here for the second in our series of WEConnect International in the Middle East webinars. And this is an expert-led webinar. I will be introducing the experts in a second. And this series is running from January through June, so stay tuned for future webinars. We've designed these webinars in partnership with our member buyers, who are among the largest companies in the world. And today we designed this webinar with Procter and Gamble. The purpose of these webinars are to help GCC-based women-owned businesses gain knowledge and skills to connect with business opportunities at large companies in the GCC and beyond. And since WEConnect is new to the region, I'm going to give you a short introduction to who we are, and then I'm going to pass it on to our experts. So I have a quick slide deck. I will be sharing this deck with you later after the webinar, okay? So you can just pay attention, you don't need to take notes. Well, first of all, what I'll do is run through the agenda for the webinar just so you know what's going to happen. I will talk quickly about WEConnect. We will have Procter & Gamble and the repositioning expert teach you about how to pitch or how to improve your pitch. And then we're going to have a very interactive session where you're going to practice your pitch. So get ready. Okay. And what I'd like to actually start out with is a pitch for our training program that's March 7th to 10th in Dubai. And Procter & Gamble is sponsoring that and hosting it. And the key speakers are senior Procter & Gamble executives. And I really encourage you all to sign up or apply for that. It is a competitive process to get in. The objectives of this webinar are to basically help you learn how to pitch better, elevator pitch, how to sell to customers. Sorry about that. And we also want you to get to know WEConnect International, so, and why you should be part of what we do. So we exist because women truly are at the center of global business. Actually, 1/3 of all private businesses are owned by women. Businesses that are started by women have a likelihood of doing 63% better than companies with only male founders. And studies show that if more women were actively involved in the economy, the global GDP would increase by, more than $20 trillion. So we really need to get more women in, not only in the workplace and in leadership positions, but also owning businesses. We try to make the business case to large companies that they should buy from women. And here are two important statistics we point out to them. First of all, women basically control 85% of all consumer spending across the world. And yet, when you look at supply chains, you find that only 1% of all procurement spend by large corporate and government buyers is with women-owned businesses. So let that sink in a little bit for you. All right, so our mission is to connect women-owned businesses like you to global supply chains. And our mission really is to drive money into the hands of women business owners by enabling them to compete in the global marketplace. And we were set up by our large corporate buyers 11 years ago to serve women-owned businesses outside the United States. And what our member buyers look for is an independent verification that the businesses are indeed at least 51% owned, managed, and controlled by women. And that certification is available in 50 countries in the world right now. It is not yet available in the UAE or the other GCC countries, but we will start up in the UAE in 2023 certification. But for now, you all can register on our database, and that's free and it takes 20 minutes. And we encourage you all to do that And I will be sending you links about how to do that. And you should do it immediately after the webinar. So please, these are our member buyers. You recognize a lot of the brands. And then this reviews our definition of a woman-owned business. It is 51% owned and also managed and controlled by women. And when you ultimately in UAE, when you're able to, when you certify, you will be able to use this women-owned logo on your products and services. So for now, I'd like to jump to quickly introduce our wonderful speakers. We've got Chala Dinkoy, who's the CEO and founder of the Repositioning Expert. There she is enjoying her morning coffee because she is calling in from Canada. I am calling in from Washington, DC. You can tell from her turtleneck that it's a little bit cold up in Canada. Quite different than what you're experiencing in the GCC. And I will let her speak for herself, but I will say that she is a certified women business enterprise with WeConnect International. She is a great servant leader to all women-owned businesses across the world because her job is to help them pitch better and win more business. And then we have Kamal Slim, who is the Regional Business Sourcing Director for Procter & Gamble, and he'll tell you more about himself. But he has lots of experience hearing from potential suppliers from you, and he's going to tell you what he thinks you should do when you pitch. We also have Nihal Hashish, who is my partner in crime at Procter & Gamble, who's helped me organize this webinar series. And she is the leader on Procter & Gamble's side for the Women Entrepreneurs Academy, which we are running March 7th to 10th. And we encourage you all to apply for that training program if your business is 51% owned by women and based in the GCC. So quickly, I'm just going to say there are several different types of pitches. There are elevator pitches, which are short. There's a business pitch for potential clients, which could be much longer, like 30 minutes. And then there could be business pitch for potential investors. Usually that's somewhere in between 12 to 15 minutes. Today, we're really going to talk about an elevator pitch. And Kamal might have some other things that he's going to talk about as well. Here is the link where you can apply for the training, the Procter & Gamble training. And I'm going to put that in the chat in a minute. So the purpose of the pitch, what is the purpose of the pitch? It's to both impress and convince. So you don't just want to impress people, but you want them to actually act on what they're hearing and convince them to take action, right? So with that, I am going to pass it over to Chala Dinkoy. She really wants you to participate in this webinar. So if you want to unmute yourself, you can chat in any questions or comments you have as you go, but we really want to hear from you. So Chala, take it away.
Thank you so much. And if we could stop the share, we'll be much bigger so we could see each other.
Cool.
Thanks so much for the wonderful introduction. Hi, everyone. I really miss meeting in person, and this wouldn't really even be possible to meet in person because I'm in Toronto and you're in Dubai. So do me a favor and turn on your cameras and your sound. I'm Turkish, so we are very like in your face. We are very warm blooded. So we like to get right there and hug people. And it's been really difficult with the pandemic, not seeing people, not hugging people. So, and I'm so happy to be here. And how I became an elevator pitch coach is for 18 years. I worked for large corporations like Nihal and Kamal, where I was pitched. I worked for Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Frito-Lay. I was pitched, and then I kept saying no, not because I'm mean, but because we already had someone doing those things. The person's pitch was never different than anything that I'd ever heard before. They weren't focused on anything. They just showed up and they told us what they did for a living. They never talked about us and our problems. They always talked about themselves. So for 18 years, I learned what not to do. And then at the same time, for every year, we would launch 7 to 10 new products every year when I worked for Pepsi and Pizza Hut and Frito-Lay. And I learned how to launch new products. And we had to find a gap in the market because we were going to sell the same kind of thing on the same shelves, but make more money for the company. So I learned how the art of differentiation. So, you know, when I left corporate 10 years ago, I graduated into this market of coaches that was so saturated that I was starving. There were so many coaches, and I thought I tried to do everything that I was being told. I was, you know, going to trade shows, I was doing advertising on Facebook, I was, you know, going to meetings, I was doing everything that I knew, and I was still broke because it took that for me to realize, okay, there's something I'm not doing that the companies that used to pitch to me, that used to get in, were doing. So since then, I've figured it out. I have made it into a process, and now I teach it. And the results of my business is that I've been, you can see it in my bio. I've now been on every television network, ABC, NBC, CBS, about, you know, 20 times. I've spoken at NASDAQ. I've been on the Jumbotron in New York City, in Times Square. I've spoken at the Harvard Club of Boston. I have, you know, tripled my corporate income, and just last month bought my dream car. And I have a 12-year-old, as I was telling you guys, who's on the spectrum of autism, and I'm a single mom, and yet we are still thriving. The pandemic really hit my business hard. I could no longer travel to the US, which is my main market, and I couldn't speak on stages to convert. But what I used is everything that I'm going to teach you today is how to focus what you're doing and saying to get the right person to listen to you and get a meeting. That's what's called a powerful pitch. And I'm lucky. So you see the dollar signs behind me. I put this up when I lost all my income during the pandemic as a good luck. And as I said, the good luck has come back. So that's what I hope for you, all of you. And I hope to meet as many of you as possible by getting you guys to turn on your camera and your sound and to do your 30-second, 1-minute elevator pitch of when people ask you, what is it that you do for a living? And then you'll tell us what you do for a living. And I'll ask for your permission to polish your elevator pitch. And then you'll take that value out of this, you know, short 20-minute discussion. And you're so blessed to have P&G's buyers on the call to actually give you their point of view as well. So let's get started. Unfortunately, 79% of leads never close, and 86% of buyers can't tell the difference between two suppliers who do the same thing. And yet, something like 90% of suppliers think they're different. Do you guys think that's true, Nihal and Kamal? Everybody thinks they're different, right? And yet it's unfortunately not true. So let me tell you what I recommend doing. The process that I use is called super niching. I make clients pick one industry to start with and one issue that they're having, one very expensive, painful problem that they're having. And we super niche the message, which is your elevator pitch, around that very, very, very niche. So niche means making smaller, like being focused on a smaller. So let me show you some examples. Let me tell you about some examples of where this has benefited companies. A generic IT company that I worked with generated $805,000 within a couple of months when we found their super niche of helping healthcare call centers reduce call wait times. And that was it. Their super brand was called, their sub brand was called On Hold Rescue. And the logo had the picture of the operator with the red cross of the healthcare sign. And literally by super niching that one thing that they can do for that one industry, they were able to make almost $1 million in a couple of months. Another, I'll give you a smaller example, a wine event planner. This client had just left corporate. She used to sell carpets for a living. All of a sudden, she decided, I love wine. I'm going to make that into my career. She hired me as soon as she left. And we found the super niche of helping financial institutions get more client satisfaction. So keep more clients. So it was called client engagement. So she put on wine events for financial institutions, and she became an expert in client retention for financial institutions. How different is that from saying that you're an event planner using wine events? So then her business, she tripled her income in a couple of years, and she was able to never go back to her job. And the last one I'm going to give you, the last example, is a marketing consultant got 6 multi 5-figure, like $15,000 contracts within a couple of months by super niching into the fooddistributionguy.com. So what he did was he figured out, okay, the segment I'm going to go after is people who make food products, so food manufacturers, the sauce guy, the cookie lady, and their number one problem is they can't sell, they can't get into distribution into grocery stores like Whole Foods, so they can't get in. So what he did was he became a consultant and an expert in their pain. And that's when he sold all those contracts. Okay, so how do we start? What is the actual process to start doing this? Well, first, let me give you the formula for your elevator pitch. And by the way, please go ahead and put all your questions and comments into the chat. And then hopefully, Patricia, you'll read them out to me because I can't see while I'm talking. So let me just go and give you, this is the formula for the perfect elevator pitch. It's who you help plus what pain you help them with, and then how you help them, and then what is the result. Okay, so you add all that. Now, let me tell you what my elevator pitch is. Did you know, and by the way, I don't know if you guys know, but women business enterprises like us are called, that are certified, are called WBEs. And in some countries, they're called Weebies. But I know in the US, they discourage calling them Weebies because it sounds like a weird thing. So here's my elevator pitch. Did you know that 4 out of 5 WBEs have never gotten asked for a meeting after doing their elevator pitch to a buyer? What I do is I help fix what they're saying so that every hello turns into a request for a meeting from a buyer. Do you see the construct? What is, first of all, who I help is WBEs. What is the pain is they can never, ever get asked for a meeting by the buyer they're pitching to. That is the number one thing you want, is for them to say, can I get your card, or we have to meet? Could we get a meeting on the books? And then the next is how I help them is I fix what they're saying, what's coming out of their mouth. And then the next step is, what is the result? Well, the result is every time they say hello to the buyer, they get a meeting. Okay. So if that makes sense, I'm going to break it down for you. So the first reason why I want you to pick a very specific industry or interest group is because industries self-gather by themselves. You don't have to do the heavy lifting of finding a homogeneous group of people in that one group, because industries like, IT or healthcare or automotive, they have enormous resources, and they self-gather for meetings and conferences and organizations and associations. So by picking one, you're already doing the heavy lifting. All you have to do is go where they gather and then market where they are. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is, why do you need to pick a pain point? Why do you need to pick one of their problems? Well, the reason for that is because, unfortunately, 70% of humans only buy based on solving a problem. My biggest saying is, if there's no pain, there is no sale. And it's a psychological need to continually search. It's in your DNA to constantly search for danger. And when somebody is talking to you about a potential problem that could be dangerous to you, your company, your brand, whatever they're trying to sell to you, you pay attention, because you are, your DNA, you're biologically wired to listen for danger. So when somebody's 30-second elevator pitch is talking about something that could be dangerous to them, which is something that they're struggling with in their business, that is so expensive that they spend meetings and hours and projects to try to solve, that's when you have their attention, you guys. And I know that you can solve more than one thing, but the human brain can't think multiple things at the same time. All types of research shows that if they try to do multitask, the effectiveness is reduced. And then the same thing with all types of research were shown about choice. When you give someone, it's called the jam test. When they gave them 6 jams instead of 2, people bought less jam. When they gave them 2 jams, that people bought more jam. So that's why when you show up and you tell people that you tell buyers that you do a whole laundry list of things, that hurts you. Instead, what I want you to do is I want you to say, this is the industry. Okay, fine. If you're talking to P&G, then think about what is the problem that they have that you can solve. And that's what I want you to do when you're going to hopefully volunteer. And I, ladies are amazing at this. Whenever I have like a mixed group, it's always the ladies that want to volunteer. So I hope you guys are going to volunteer, but you're going to think about what is the one problem that P&G has that you can help solve. Now, you don't have to do it with P&G. You can do it with whatever industry that you normally would target. If you had, if you could dream, what industry would you double, triple your business in? That's what I want to know. Pick one industry and then let's think about what is their number one problem that you can solve. And then how do we convey that in one short sentence in 30 seconds? Because let me tell you, being concise, and Nihal was so kind to do an amazing interview with me. And if you guys can catch that, that's on my YouTube channel, Chala Dinkoy. But if you can catch it, one of the things she talks about that's happened since the pandemic for buyers is they're looking for someone who's concise. You know what concise means is you make more money, the less time it takes to describe what you do. That's exactly what concise means. So that's what I'll be doing with you guys. And what I do is I gave you the formula for the perfect elevator pitch, but what I also do is I add statistics, like what I told you, 4 out of 5 WVEs have never gotten a meeting with a buyer they've introduced themselves to. And this is true. This is unfortunately true. And the reason for that is because they're making the mistake of not talking about their pain. They're not talking about it in a way that they position themselves as an expert in a very specific facet of the pain, and so on. Okay. All right. So how are we doing on time? I think, is it time to take some volunteers, Patricia?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. How are we doing? Okay. So do you know how you guys, you can either like put up your hand like this as if you're in class, or you could go to the reactions button on the bottom and it says raise your hand. So you could do that as well. Who would like to volunteer? And I'd like to hear your pitch. You can do it in the format and the formula that I gave, or you can do it just the way that you would normally do it if somebody asks you, what is it that you do for a living? Okay. And remember, by volunteering, not only are you allowing 24 other people to hear you, but you're allowing Procter & Gamble to hear you. Okay. Good or bad. There's no losers here. All right.
Belikazi wants to go.
All right.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I want to acknowledge you because first of all, it's the hardest thing to go first. So I want to acknowledge you. So good job.
Yeah.
You're already a winner.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Okay,
I'm
tell us what,
okay, I'm
tell
going to
us what
start.
you do. Yeah. Go for it.
All right. Every year, thousands of people are forced to take time off due to health and safety related issues. That being said, there are a limited number of designs for the female workwear. We manufacture workwear specific for the women at work.
Okay, great. Do I have your permission to polish?
Definitely.
Okay, so could you give me an industry, is it construction, that you would target?
Well, it would be one of them.
Mm-hmm. If you could dream, which industry would you double your sales in?
I think it would be construction currently.
Okay, wonderful. All right. And what is the number one problem they have? You talked about time off. Is that the number one most expensive problem that you help solve?
It is the number one most expensive problem in most industries. that is the number of safety issues that come. However, when we look at the women workwear, most of them in South Africa, they are forced to wear the male workwear. So what we are trying to solve is we manufacture, and we've got designs that are specific to the women at work.
Okay, and what happens when a woman is wearing, and I know that because I helped a woman who does exactly what you do in the United States win a pitch competition. So she actually came in wearing a man's uniform, a man's construction wear. So what is the number one safety problem that they run into?
Okay, so it's the sizes. So the size could be very big or too small, tight in one place and big in other places.
I understand, I understand. But what I'm asking is, what is the consequence? What is the consequence of having that happen?
Injuries. And that could be a case where the garments are caught up in the machinery or whatever area that they're working in.
What's the ultimate consequence?
The cost to the business.
Death.
Yeah.
Right. So what happens when women are dying or maimed because of their uniforms for the construction company you're selling to? What happens to them?
What happens to the women that are dying?
Nope. What happens to you're not
sorry, I didn't quite get your question.
Yeah, you're not selling to the women, you're selling to the construction company, right? So if you can think like the construction company, what is the thing that they're trying to avoid, the most costly issue when there is a death or injury?
Well, for me, it would be loss of productivity. That's one of the one of the issues, and obviously compensation if they had to compensate, that would be a cost to the business, and obviously the reputation of the company as well.
So in your opinion, when somebody dies, which of the three that you just talked about is the most expensive problem? And I'm going to ask Nihal and Kamal to chime in on this one. Is reputation, compensation, or time loss the biggest issue here for the construction company?
By far, reputation.
What do you think, Nihal?
Exactly the same.
So Kazi, does that make sense to you that you should start off by talking about, did you know that, 9 out of 10 construction companies are afraid of losing their reputation due to unsafe workwear for women? Does that make sense? And I'm
Makes a lot of sense.
I'm saying go talk to construction companies and ask them, is this their nightmare? Right? Don't make it up, but just, talk to them and say how many. Okay. So I hope that helps.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It does a lot. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So I see another hand up. Patricia, who's next?
Oh, Rifat. Rifat's next.
Thank you.
Hi, Rifat.
Hi, lovely to meet you, and so inspired to hear your story, Chala.
Thank you.
I just want to say I'm not in the UAE, I'm in the UK, but I am part of the Dubai Council of Women, and I also am looking to set up in the United Arab Emirates, which is why I'm here. So I just wanted to say that before I went ahead.
Nice.
And am I okay to pitch now?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. So in 2014, an estimated 92 million tons of textile waste was created annually from the fashion industry. And shockingly, nearly every second there's an equivalent of 1 garbage truck of textiles in landfills or burned globally. In a 2021 report, the World Economic Forum identified fashion as being the biggest, third largest pollutant of the industry of the world. That's where Modest Trends comes in. So Modest Trends London is an ethical, modest fashion brand that caters for the needs of the next generation of Muslim women. And that is done by creating fashion that's ethical and sustainable, but meets the spiritual and religious needs of the modest Muslim woman.
Okay, perfect. So do I have your permission to polish?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is a B2C, right? You're not selling to corporations.
No.
Okay, so
Not yet.
are you selling to corporations? Like you're selling to,
At the moment, I'm doing business to consumer, but my aim is to create the capsule collection, which will be pitched to some of the big brands and some of the big,
retailers.
yeah.
Gotcha, okay. So I love that it's niche to a target, right? Love it. Now I'm wondering if a religion is specific enough. Do you know what I mean? Like not every Muslim is going to be interested in sustainability, and not everyone is going to be interested in like paying what I imagine as a premium to save the world, save the earth, right? So is there any interest group? Is there a subsegment of Muslims that they self-gather in some association or, you know, organization that has a sustainable, like, can you think of one? Or alternately for B2C, we look at lifestyle, like, are there, you know, is there a community of Muslim women who do, let's say, I don't know, yoga, or who care about the earth, or who do like, I don't know, like farm to table, I don't know, something that has a smaller reach, right? Because I think it's just, it might be too large. So that's one thing I would encourage you to look at if anybody cares about the sustainable. So then the other part is, I wasn't sure, there was you did a good job setting up. If a little bit too long, just give one stat, don't stack them. So give one stat. And then I got the idea that the pain is the garbage landfill, but what is the pain for the Muslim woman? Like, so that's why I'm saying, does she care? Does she care that she looks, you know, good? Or does she care that there's a landfill? Like, again, this comes back to the question that I asked, you know, Nihal and Kamal, like, what is the most painful? And it's going to change according to who you're talking to, because if you're talking to a group of Muslim women who are in a sustainable community, like they are activists in that area, then they're going to care about the landfill. So the last piece is you have to make what does sustainable clothing mean? So you could say, did you know that, you know, what one garbage, you talked about, it was like the one garbage landfill is full of fashion. So you gave some numbers about that, but how does yours compare? Like, so would you say ours, if using my brands means it's never in it's sustainable, which means, because like me, I don't know what that means. Does that mean that your brand doesn't go to the landfill? Like, what does sustainable clothing even mean? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. It makes sense. I think I did focus groups. I did some interviews, and that was the thing that we struggle in the UK anyway with trying to find the fashion needs, things that meet our fashion needs anyway. And then stack on top of that the fact that some of them said that yes, they do care about sustainability and ethical sourcing, but because of the limited choice, they just don't have much choice that they can make. So it's just providing them with more choice, I suppose. But yeah, I think there's quite a lot to unpack in that.
Yeah, so I mean, how we would launch a new product is we would do testing of different concepts. So you have to take, you know, a subsegment of Muslim women and segment them into different groups of how they already gather. You don't do it. You look at look at their clubs. Like we used to just look at meetup clubs. So whatever in your city, in your geography, look up different clubs that they have. And then according to what, one could be according to cuisine, one could be according to children, one could be according to, you know, religious teachings. I don't know. It could all be because there's such a gamut. And then you take a guess at 3 of their biggest pain points. And then you go and talk to them and ask them, just like how I asked Nihal and Kamal, which of these is the biggest issue for you? And then you formulate your messaging according to the biggest issue. So maybe it looks like something like, did you know that 70% of Muslim women in London or in Dubai can't find viable options to wear? And what we do is we provide you additional options that are trendy and sustainable and, you know, all that. But really the issue is that they can't find options. Right. So that we don't know if their issue is a landfill or the option. So that's why you start with not the product, you start with them. All right. So Patricia, have I gone on too long? Am I taking up Camel space?
I do think we should probably let Camel build on what you've already very clearly explained and let people practice. We are going to continue to network for 30 minutes after the webinar. So if any of you want, and Chala has actually offered to stay on. So if any of you want to stay and practice your pitch, then please do. And thank you so much, Chala. And Chala, you can chime in as we go as well. I'm going to now ask Camel if he'd like to take the stage. And Camel, I will share the screen, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Patricia. Okay, so Chala got us to become masters in the elevator pitch, right? And we did it. We landed that big customer meeting. Congratulations. Imagine yourself in that meeting room right now with that one big customer that you guys are thinking about. You're calm, you're confident. You already know that this meeting is going to go your way even before a single word is said. This is not a fantasy. I've seen this firsthand in my 13 years of experience with Procter & Gamble, managing their sourcing across Europe, Middle East, India, and Africa. Today, I want to share with you 3 mindsets that truly distinguished these suppliers. And I want to share how to effectively adopt these mindsets to influence big customers specifically. Can you, Patricia, one more click, please. The first mindset is customer and market mastery. And this touches a little bit upon what Chala shared with you guys. Let me start with market mastery. This is a foundational element because you're not going to go very far with a big customer if you don't know your market well enough. These fundamentals include the supply and demand dynamics of that market. Who are the big players, both suppliers as well as customers? What are the defining trends of that market? Is it a niche offering or is it a commoditized offering? And so on. The second part of this mindset is customer mastery. And here we are talking about a deep knowledge and understanding of your customer. What is their business model? What are their strategies, their top-level strategies? How do they translate into targets? How do these targets translate into needs? What are their principles, if any? What are their values? What do they value more than anything at this moment in time in that specific market? And so on. Who's their competition? Who is winning and why? Even a basic understanding of your customer is going to go a long way for you, let alone a deep knowledge of their needs. I'm going to give you for each mindset a very quick example of how this truly materializes in the real world. My first example is about a material called caustic soda. We buy tens of thousands of tons of this material, upwards of $10 million per country where we buy it. It's highly commoditized. And there's one supplier who approached us in one of our plants. And they said that they have a potential solution for us to consider with regards to this material. The elevator pitch was successful. It was passed on to me. We had our first meeting with the supplier. First off, they were keen to demonstrate their deep knowledge of the market they were pitching us a solution for. They knew the big players. They demonstrated knowledge of the exact numbers of demand, what is happening, what has dictated the trends in the market over the past 2-3 years, what is happening right now. And that was basically an issue with sudden shutdowns of big players, which led to a frenzy in the market, and prices were volatile across a single year. They also researched us as a customer, and they knew very well that we had two main needs when it came to supply of this material: quality and safety. They understood the quality parameters, the need for consistent quality, and they made sure the presentation incorporated all of that. Because this is an installation of a new unit, they also went through all of the safety protocols that they knew we would be asking about. They also knew that we would take their offering and run a feasibility analysis on it. So as part of their presentation, they said, we have done this feasibility for you already, and here is what it means. I can see Chala saying, wow. And that's exactly how we felt, right? Which is, it seems we are in good, capable hands. That helped us relax, that helps us open up and listen and give perspective and widen the discussion. We committed to that supplier and we continued the discussion moving forward. I'll pause here for a second and check if anybody has any questions on customer and market mastery before I proceed.
Sorry,
That's
Kamal,
okay. Yeah.
did you give them that feedback that, you know, to the seller, that you were so impressed and nobody had ever done this for you and how impressive it was?
I think we did on the last part, which is when they did the feasibility analysis on our behalf. Nobody had done that truly before. And that was the extra nudge, you know, that we were like, okay, this is it. This is a partner that we would want to do business with.
Was there expense involved in them doing that feasibility portion?
Just time and effort.
Okay, so, okay, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Chala. Okay. Next click, please, Patricia. So after mastering the customer and market and developing that deep knowledge about both, you must link what you have found out in the first mindset, which is their needs, to your offering. There needs to be a clear line of sight of how do you plan to address their needs. Not only that, you need to be able to articulate why you are the right partner to fulfilling that need. Such needs usually are either direct or indirect needs, and they could be current or future needs. Direct needs are things like cost, as in savings that they would want, cash flow, as in payment terms or availability of turnover. It could be the availability of the material or the service that you are providing and the reliability of it. Indirect needs, on the other hand, could be sustainability, like we just heard. It could be community impact, such as equality and inclusion. Something like what we're doing today with the WEConnect. People with determination, and so on and so forth. Addressing innovation that addresses a specific business need of your customer. Again, I'm going to give you another example of how this manifests in the real world, if you want. Our packaged material spend, which Nihal belongs to, by the way, and I've got you some of the packaging material. It ranges from flexibles like this to more rigid packaging forms like bottles and caps, cartons and corrugated, and so on. And our spend is massive. Only in this region, we spend more than $150 million on packaged material. With all that variety comes one constant, which is the more that you produce any single packaging material, the cheaper it will be. That is a problem because some of our offerings are low volume, niche products that we either want to maintain because they're highly profitable, or because we are experimenting to see what's going to happen in the market. A company approached one of our packaging buyers who was impressed with the elevator pitch and moved it on to a supplier meeting where we were involved. Again, they started by explaining the technology, the ins and outs of how it worked. What were the inputs? How did the process work? How was the output different versus what we did today? They shared details of how the financials would look like. They even made it very visual, showing how the cost would be maintained even at low volumes, a big pain point that we had. Now, what truly distinguished their offering, however, was when they shared one more positive about their technology, which is the speed of execution. Our regular technology took us at least a month to prepare, while with this technology, we could be ready within 24 hours. They educated the buyer about a problem he did not even know that they had, which is this could open up opportunities for customization and personalization of products, which we never thought about because of that long delay. Naturally speaking, we ran with the idea, we took it to our commercial teams, we tested the technology, and right now it's in execution. They did two things. They addressed a direct need of ours today, which is the cost of production, and they addressed a future indirect need, which is how do we grow our sales? How do we grow our customer portfolio ourselves? And by articulating that in their pitch to us, it was an easy sell. Again, I'll pause for a second to see if there are any questions.
And feel free to unmute yourself. We have few enough people that we can have a conversation.
Let me share, okay, maybe let me share another example on this one specifically where the offering was not highly technical or an innovation by itself, okay? Commodity materials. Commodity materials, I want you to think of rice or corn or fuel, right? There's very little for you as a seller to innovate on or even to influence the price of. The supply and demand is globally influenced. This story is about a supplier of such a material, salt, that we buy in hundreds of thousands of tons. They approached us, we agreed for the meeting. Like all the other examples, they started by demonstrating their knowledge of the market and us as a customer. They shared with us that due to their proximity to our plant, they have noticed an uptick or an increase in the trucks that were delivering salt to us, which they understood as an increase in demand from our end. Understanding the market and their competition, they were able to understand that we are paying now more on transportation because we're getting it from far away, whereas they are right next door. So their offering was, I'm going to save you on transportation costs a lot. All good? It already sounds like a good offer, right? What was phenomenal about their pitch, however, was this. They came in with a solution for a problem that we didn't know that we have. We didn't even think about, which is with 100,000 of tons of this material comes 100,000 bags, plastic bags, that we were shredding and throwing every single year. They told us that they knew P&G has a big focus on sustainability, and they offered us to recycle these bags, multiple uses, and at the end, move them to another industry that can use them. This, even at flat financials, we would have looked into their offer and proceeded with a relationship with this supplier. Again, this shows how even in a market that is saturated with players, you can still look into the needs of your customer and find a way to meet them. Again, I'll pause to see if there are any questions or reactions. And I'm seeing some stuff on chat, Patricia. You tell me if I need to pay attention to it.
Yeah,
Okay?
we're not seeing a lot. I would love it if people let us know their thoughts. We did have a question about a company that offers corporate services to help people set up their company in Dubai, and what is the effective way to pitch. So we're encouraging you all to practice your pitch with us during networking. We do have a few more minutes left in the webinar. But this is great, Camel. Why don't we keep going?
Sure. Let's go to the third and final mindset, Patricia, please. We kept it for the end because it's potentially the biggest impact, and I'll showcase to you why that is. When we talk about trusting relations, I want you guys to remember two main elements: character and credibility. Character is how do you show up as a person, or at least how are you perceived as a person by your customers. It includes aspects such as integrity, honesty, and respect. While credibility is, are you delivering on what you're promising? Do you follow through? And are you showing commitment? You know by now that I'm going to give you another example of how this materializes in the real world. Unfortunately, this example of how it does not work for some suppliers. One of our plants in the region, we also bring in, import a lot of volume of a specific material. And when you import a lot of volume, you're susceptible to many factors, whether it's weather conditions or shipping issues. COVID had no mercy on all of us in that regard, and so on and so forth. We were forced to reach out to a local player in that country. So they didn't even have to pitch to us. We came to them. And we agreed to have a meeting to discuss, because we knew they had availability of the material that we need. They had good knowledge of the market. They knew who the big customers would be and where would the imports come in from. They knew what our needs would look like in terms of quality, in terms of volume, and so on and so forth. But they showcased significant red flags where they started bad-mouthing their competition, how they have the better offering. Others don't care about their people, don't care about their customers, don't think about their quality. Just strange for a first meeting. But then the biggest red flag was they started sharing the prices they were selling to our competition. Maybe in their mind, this was something that they thought was transparency or would get us to be excited to know that they're going to offer us better financials. But they went against one of our core principles and values, which is honesty and integrity. We could not trust the supplier. What stops them from sharing our own prices tomorrow with the next player? It was clear that they were very transactional and not a right fit for a partnership with us. They did not build trust in that engagement. What was easy, and I'm telling you, this was an easy chance for them to build a relationship with Procter & Gamble, they lost it in a heartbeat. I'll pause here for a second to see if there are any reactions or any questions. And if not, we can move to the next slide. It's like a marriage, Rifat is saying. Absolutely, right? It is like a marriage in the sense that there needs to be a trusting relationship. Once it's broken, it's very hard to amend. To summarize, the top 3 mindsets to maximize your impact and influence your big customers are customer market mastery, being solutions oriented for the direct and indirect need, as well as current and future needs, as we detailed, And finally, building trusting relationships where you focus on your character and your credibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kamal. Gonna go to, let's see, what else do we have in there? Yes. Okay, I want to thank everyone for being here, and I do want to just run through a few things that I hope you learned today. What is the most important to include in your pitch to large buyers, right? Chala, remind us what they should remember.
Their pain.
What is your customer's pain? Okay. You heard tips on how to improve your elevator pitch, and you're welcome to stay and practice your pitch with Chala in a minute. And Kamal really did give you some tips to think about when you're pitching customers, right? Those 3 mindsets, use those 3 mindsets. I hope you learned something about WeConnect International, and you learned about what it's like to be a certified WBE like Chala. And what I want to ask you, could I get like 1 or 2 people to tell me, what are you going to do over the next 4 weeks as a result of this webinar? Any things you're going to do?
One thing that I recommend, Patricia, while we're waiting for someone to say, is visibility. In business, you have to get comfortable with showing your face, speaking, and in the world of Zoom, if you're not comfortable doing that, you're not going to be comfortable in front of people, and you have to get comfortable doing your pitch. So visibility is money, 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 money. So please, congratulations to those of you who are already comfortable to be visible. But for the rest of you, to me, that would be your key takeaway is first is to be visible.
Perfect. Nomtandazo, I know that you wanted to say something, and I do want to say Nomtandazo is also a certified WBE out of South Africa, and she happens to be the chair of our WBE Council in South Africa. So welcome.
Thank you, Patricia, and good afternoon to all the ladies. I joined a bit late, but I think for me, let me just show my face. Sorry. I think for me, what's critical is about going into the new markets. We've done a lot in South Africa and also going into Africa, working with some of the corporates. So my next step is to actually create some partnerships in the UAE space and make sure that the technology and the development of technology is also included into the UAE as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you. You're welcome to stay for networking after, if you want to talk to some of the businesses in the UAE.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Rifat, thank you for your ideas here. You're going to revise your pitch and plan. Meet customers with more questions. Excellent. Great. I'm glad to hear that. All right, I'm going to just close this out here for this part of the webinar. And I do encourage you, if you are a 51% owned business, women-owned business, to apply for the Procter & Gamble Women Entrepreneurs Academy. It is for businesses that are based in the GCC. Okay, so if you're not based in the GCC, don't apply because you won't get in. Just to let you know. We've extended the deadline to February 11th. Okay, I am going to put the link to the application in the chat, but just want to let you know that's what it looks like. It's in SurveyMonkey. And I'm going to go back here. So the other point is, please also consider registering on our database, and I will send you that link as well. It takes 20 minutes. You are visible to buyers worldwide and to 14,000 women-owned businesses. Okay, if you have questions, you can always email me. And with that, we're going to close out this part of the webinar. I think I'm going to keep the recording on in case other people want to practice their pitch, because this is really helpful to other businesses who tune in on our YouTube channel when we put it up there. So I want to thank Chala and Kamal for sharing your knowledge and caring so much about helping women-owned businesses get more business. And also Nihal Hashish for her inspiration for creating this webinar series. And let me just, I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to chat in the information on how to apply for the Women's Academy here, okay?
Thank you for having me, Patricia. Thank you, everybody. Hope this was
Thank
helpful.
you.
Take care.
Bye.
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 Thank you. So I'm staying here, and Patricia, let me know when we're going to open it to anybody that I've encouraged to stay and polish their pitch.
Yes, I know. Jean C., you were asking, how do I pitch my corporate services business? Do you want to try your pitch out on us?
Oh, she may not be here.
She might not be here. Would anyone else like to practice?
Hello, I am here.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, good. That was a nice one. That's very informative.
Hi, welcome. Do you want to go ahead and do your pitch?
Yes, I usually start by telling my clients that since I set up companies in the UAE, I would usually start with Island Consultancy helps you set up the company in Dubai. We take care of the legal process and tell you what needs to be done in order for the company to be operational in the UAE. So the challenge is that most of the company owners who would like to set up a company would only mention two things. They want it fast and cost effective. So they usually have this main main requirement.
Okay. Is it okay if I ask you a couple of questions?
Sure, no problem. Go ahead. That would be most helpful.
Yeah. Do you have an industry target? Just
Yeah,
one?
Yeah, the good thing is that since we are company set up, we don't have a specific industry.
Okay, but I mean, if you could dream, which industry would you double your business in?
That would be in the trading industry.
What industry is trading? Do they have an association of trading? Do they have an organization? Do they have chapter meeting?
That would be in the food and beverage.
Food and beverage. Okay, good. So now let's say you're meeting with a food and beverage client through WeConnect International. What is the number one problem they run into if the setup of their company in UAE is not fast or cost effective? What's the problem they run into? That it's delayed, or what is the delay cause?
Okay, not the delay would be because of there is no proper evaluation of the requirement from the company. For example, the business activity should be fully evaluated, because when you ask for a license, some consultants will just set you up and provide you with a license. There should be proper discussions on what really are the business activities that will be done inside the UAE or in Dubai, because there are economic laws that needs to be considered. For example, is it feasible? Is it better to set up in a free zone or in the Dubai mainland? So that has to be taken into consideration. Now, when a client does not relay or provide complete information, you can have a license, but you will find out later that it is not, the business activity is not the right one, and you will not be able to operate, thereby causing not only the delay, but you cannot operate at all. And that is a major, major problem if you are already signing a contract with a partner or with a client.
Okay, I love that story. So could we turn it into a 30-second elevator pitch by saying something like, find the number. Did you know that, $1 million are lost every month due to companies shutting down because of incorrect licensing? And what we do is we make sure that no loss of contracts occur due to correct licensing when we set up companies.
Okay, that is a good one.
Okay.
Yes,
So
yes. that is
I
good.
took, and it's even better if you're talking to the industry to even like look into what that industry has faced in terms of inability to operate, right? And it's because it has more credibility if you're talking to a food and beverage company and you're saying, you know, that 70% of food and beverage companies that tried to set up here have missed on $1 million a month of contract because they were inoperational due to incorrect licensing. So that's
Yeah.
what I recommend.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that helps. All
Yes.
right. Anybody else? Tuli, I think you had reached out to me, right?
I did. Hi, Chella. Hi, everybody. And thanks for the opportunity. So I'm going to get started for 30 seconds. What if I told you that there's a bigger untapped market opportunity in beauty for Black women in Africa, where online shopping has increased by 20%, driven by the pandemic wave and need for convenience? Premu is an on-demand, three-sided marketplace that connects vetted beauty pros who work independently or as brand ambassadors, as well as brands with consumers to deliver convenient, unmatched salon experiences anytime, anywhere.
Okay. Thank you. Do I have your permission to polish?
Please do, please do.
Okay. All right. So you are selling an online platform for beauty professionals to connect customers with beauty professionals like nails, hair, skin. Is that what it is?
Correct.
So it's a portal to find beauty professionals. And
as well as products. So we do the services and products, which is where the brands come in, because then they are the third side of the marketplace.
So what is the differentiator? Like, why wouldn't I just order from Mac, and instead of Mac, I order from you?
Because you are ordering from a service provider who has an opportunity to also earn commission on the platform. So
it's cheaper?
Correct.
Are you saying
affordable?
So it's
Correct.
So you are more affordable than ordering through brands. I'm just trying to figure out if there's a better angle for the pros, like the professionals, like which is the bigger side of the business? Is it to connect them to professionals or to the actual brands?
So it's bringing convenience for the customer while creating job opportunities for the professionals, because they now have an opportunity to earn commission as well on the platform.
So the beauty products are not big brands, they're the professionals' own brands?
No, they are the big brands, but then they are sold by the professionals who earn commission from that.
Right. I'm trying to figure out the bigger pain for your clients. Is it that they can't connect to quality professionals at a lower price? And I don't even know are they lower priced professionals or no?
Yes, it's convenience, because now they're getting the services and products delivered to them anytime, anywhere. And the services as well as the products are affordable. Right.
It's just that Amazon already does the product part and the professionals is just a matter of Googling. So I'm trying to understand what is the problem that we're solving that would differentiate you, right? I mean, the cost differential is a little bit of a story. So maybe we could, maybe and the other part is it's so wide, right? It's like consumers, it's all women. So maybe can you get a little bit more niched? Is there something about, is there a geography? No, it's online, right? But can you get a little bit more niched about like
the end customer? So the end consumer is the career woman, because it's people that have busy schedules, that are pressed for time, and they want the services delivered to them.
I almost would want you to specialize in like either entrepreneurs or a specific industry of a career woman, because career woman is 90% of the population works for someone else, right? How do you define career woman? So that's like almost every woman is a career woman. So entrepreneurs, there's only 10% of the population are entrepreneurs. But if you are going to say a career woman, is there a specific industry that has more likelihood of buying from you, or that you can penetrate with this message? Because a career woman doesn't hang out by the fact that she's a career woman. It's too big, right? So maybe you could say health conscious career woman or health conscious women, because then you would go to yoga shows or you would go to health shows. You could say moms of young children, then you would go to their play areas, you would go to, you know, the magazines they read, the parenting journals. So I would want you to segment the market away more than that, and then to tell a story about, did you know that, you know, moms of young children can't afford, like 4 out of 5 have said they can't afford proper skincare. Well, what we do is we provide a more affordable skincare and professionals and products, something like that. But you have to make it really like way tighter.
Got you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
No, got you. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Anybody else?
Can I come?
Laura,
Did you hear?
Laura,
him?
go ahead. Unmute yourself. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay. All right.
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
Oh.
Our company name is Afro Future Tech. We are a collaborative group from WEConnect. It's women business owners who came together in technology. We support some of the corporates to develop entrepreneurs with their ESD, and also we do innovation pitch competitions in Africa for some of the corporates. So we are a supporting arm in terms of the enterprise development, whether it's women, youth, and people with disabilities. So we can do that as well in the UAE. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I missed most of that. It's Nomtandazo?
Yes, it's Nomtandazo.
Okay.
From
so,
South Africa.
yes. So could you give me a 30-second again? It's diversity businesses for disability owned businesses?
We currently are owned by people with disabilities, youth, and women. And what we do, we support the corporate in terms of developing the entrepreneurs, whether it's women and also youth in technology, so that then they can have new suppliers and new technology coming in and inbuilt.
Okay, I think I understand. So you are developing the actual diverse suppliers for the corporations to be able to serve them better. Is that right? I think she's cut out, Patricia.
Oh, I think, yeah.
Ooh.
Nomtandazo, can you hear us? Okay, when she gets back on, we'll continue. But Laura, I know that you said you had raised your hand. Do you want to try your pitch?
Yes, correct.
Go
Please,
for it.
welcome.
Okay, so basically it's a corporate. It's not my personal business.
Sorry,
So Surf Corp,
sorry, Laura, sorry. Is this a woman-owned business?
no, it's a company.
Sorry, I would love, if you don't mind, I'd love to see if there's anybody else because our focus is on women-owned businesses. So if you don't mind, I'd like to see if any of the women-owned
for sure.
businesses here would like to practice their pitch, if that's okay, Laura. Thanks. But I'll come back to you if we don't have anybody else. I think Natam Dazo may have jumped off.
Yeah, I think she did.
I think she did, yeah. Would anybody else like to unmute yourself and say hello to each other or have any questions or comments for us?
Sorry, so just before we jump to that, I'd like to just get a sense check. How many women-owned businesses or entrepreneurs do we have based out of the GCC here?
Right now?
Yes, just a raise of hands, ladies. I mean, if any of you are based here in the GCC, just okay, we've got 1, 2. Okay, so
Yeah, it looks
we've
like
got
2
2
stayed on from the webinar.
on the webinar. And have you registered for the academy? Yes, you did. Great,
applied.
amazing.
Ayanda, did you apply? So Ayanda also operates out of South Africa and she's a certified weenie. So, and she has offices, she has operations in UAE too, so.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Just wanted to get a sense check of how are things. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool.
So
Great.
maybe we can go back to, I mean, since no, if
Laura,
any,
do you
if
want
just-
to?
Yeah.
Okay, Laura, do you want to give us your pitch?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so basically I'm representing a company called Surf Corp. So the way that I usually do the pitch is that the Surf Corp for virtual offices and co-working spaces. We help entrepreneurs, freelancers, and small companies to have a place to work from instead of working from home or a coffee shop. Basically, while working from our locations, you will have an access to a prestigious tower to operate your business from, meet your clients and network, and build your connections. While this prestigious address as well will be your business company, which can be added to your business cards, company profile, and all marketing segments, which will also help you to be more credible and professional to your clients.
Okay.
Basically, SurfCore provides much more services, but I'm usually trying to choose one of the services or to tailor it, depends on the client inquiry.
Yes, I mean, that's what I would do as well. I mean, the number one issue, first of all, you need a target, I would think, like either are you going to start with, and I understand because I have it's called Regis here. We have a huge worldwide, yeah, your competitor probably, but I understand that every business can have an office there. But if you're in charge of sales and marketing, I would start by focusing on one industry at a time. So is it accountants? Is it freelancers? Like some industry or interest group that self-gathers that you can penetrate with a message. And then once you figure out, okay, what is that industry? What is their number one problem? With, let's say, accountants, they can't see clients in their home, right? They need to come out. Or with freelancers, it could be that they need a legal address. So you have to figure out who your first target is for the next 3 to 6 months, and then figure out, talk to enough of them to find out what is the number one problem that you guys solve. And then you get out into their circles, into their meetings, into their networking. And then every time somebody meets you, you tell them this is, you know, the number one reason why people like you choose us is because blah, blah, blah. And even better is if you put in a differentiator against competitors and say, we have, 10 more free hours of office time per month, or we have working pods like in, here at the Regencies, they have individual working pods that you can work for freelancers, that without being disturbed, that you can have for free anywhere in the world, over 900 locations, right? So whatever is most pertinent for that audience, that's what I would start with.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that helps everyone. You guys, I have to drop off for another call, but it's been my pleasure. And if any of you are looking to connect, please find me on LinkedIn, Shala Dinkoy. And if you're looking to invest in your business for marketing strategy, just drop me a line. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me, Patricia, Nihal. Take care.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Patricia. Patricia, you're on mute.
Thank you, Shala, and please, everybody, consider applying for P&G training if you're based in the GCC and woman-owned, and registering with WeConnect International. I sent you the links, and we're going to sign off. Nihal, do you have any final words?
No, thank you very much. Thank you, ladies, for engaging in the sessions, and I mean, it was very nice, very informative, even for me as a corporate, to see how entrepreneurs think. And as Patricia mentioned, UAE based or GCC based women entrepreneurs, please sign up for the academy. Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Lovely to see you all. Bye.